Hey everybody, welcome to Faces of the Community, episode 2. And today I have a special guest with me that I'm extremely excited to interview. And when we're done with this, I'm sure you're going to be excited to know more about him as well. Alan Levin. Nice to meet you, Alan. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you too, Tim. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome, awesome. So many people out there might not know who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Alan Levin. As you said, I am a UCF graduated in 2012, and also a UCF football fanatic. From a professional standpoint, I own a marketing agency called Smarty Pants Marketing. We do digital marketing for local businesses throughout South Florida, and we have some clients in Central Florida as well. Websites, SEO, Facebook and Google advertising, all with the goal of getting them more business opportunities, new business opportunities, and leads and things like that to help their business grow. But one of my side passions, a really big part of my life, is UCF football. So about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I just kind of was before I had started my own company, I was at my job at the time, and I just decided to start this Instagram account, and I called it UCF Football Updates. And I felt it could be pretty successful because I have a pretty vast knowledge of the team. I used to cover them when I was at UCF. I was a journalism major, and I was the sports editor for the school paper, and I covered the team, and I was just really passionate. So I thought it could, just be a fun outlet for me and have a lot of fun. And 5 years later, I'm almost at 7,000 followers, and just I have a blast doing it. So I just love chatting UCF football with other fans.
Awesome, awesome. And I must say, me as being a UCF fanatic football fan too, you saved me so much time. Like all my updates from your Instagram. So I appreciate that. So hours of time saved just by following.
Well, I appreciate that too, because that's why I do it. I love to get the feedback and from the followers that I have, and it's definitely what keeps me motivated to keep doing it. So it's great to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. So, which I'm also impressed that you have almost 7,000 followers on there. And as a realtor, I fall I obviously know a lot about the SEO market and digital marketing. So knowing that your business that you actually do deals with helping businesses grow their SEO and their digital platform makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Before we get more into the UCF, tell us, how did you get involved with your current business?
Yeah, sure. So when I was at UCF, I was a journalism major, and writing was kind of always like I felt my number one skill. I had a writing skill. But my senior year, I just the journalism industry at that time was going through a lot of changes. Like it was, they were laying off a ton of journalists, and newspapers were dying, quote unquote, and everything was turning digital, and there was just a lot of uncertainty. And I felt like I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was just nervous about being stuck or not getting a job. But I really love sports. So I was like, well, how can I use my writing skills and still be involved in sports? So I started looking kind of like the team route, like maybe if I work for a team inside their public relations department or something like that. And unfortunately, I was able to land an internship with the Miami Dolphins right out of school. So I worked for the Dolphins for 2 years in their public relations department, writing press releases, things like that. And I was able to parlay that. And while I was there, I started doing some social media for the community relations handles or accounts that they have within the Dolphins organization. And I kind of parlayed that into my next two jobs. One was with Comcast, NBC Universal, and the other was with Breakthrough Beverage, which is a liquor and wine distribution company. I was doing social media for the entire state of Florida. And I just kind of really upped my digital marketing skills and knowledge. And in 2017, I actually got let go from Breakthrough. My whole department did. And I was like, wow, I'm 27 at the time. I don't have any kids right now or anything like that. Here's a good time to go all in on trying to become a business owner, because I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And I was like, well, digital marketing is getting huge. It's already huge. It's only getting bigger. So I kind of just started accumulating clients, a little here and there, a little there. And kind of over the last 4 years, I built this into a true business where, this is my full-time thing.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. So let's get into some UCF.
Definitely.
When did you become the UCF fanatic that you are?
I got to tell you, I'm a just when I'm passionate about something, I'm really passionate. And Growing up, I was the biggest Miami Heat fan. I grew up in South Florida. I'm still a huge Miami Heat fan. And I was, Heat and Dolphins were always like just my two teams. I just loved them. I love football. I love basketball. And I had zero interest in college football. I remember thinking, and I still think about how funny this is back in the day, like in high school, I remember thinking like, it's like college football is kind of stupid. Like I was like, I never got like, because the hurricane presence down here is pretty big. There's a lot of Miami Hurricanes. And I was like, why do you guys like the Hurricanes? You didn't go to the school. Like I just didn't get it. I was like, college football is stupid. It's amateur. And then I don't know, the second I stepped on campus, fall of 2007, it was the very first game in the new stadium, on campus stadium against Texas. And it was awesome. I loved it. And then that year was just really cool. First year to be introduced to college football, because we had Kevin Smith that year, who was dynamic, nearly broke Barry Sanders' rushing record, single season rushing record. And, we won the Conference USA championship, and it just really kind of ignited something in me. I was like, wow, this is like cool. Like the vibe of college football is awesome. The fans, the traditions. And what really got me was that there's nothing like rooting for something that you're actually a part of. Like I'm a Miami Heat fan because I live down here, but there's no really like blood or sweat equity in that. But I feel like for UCF, like I went there, I met my wife there, I spent money there, I graduated from there. So it feels like it's my team, much more, the connection is just there. And then college football as a whole became such a passion for me, just because it's just so cool. There's just nothing like the fans and the tradition of a college football. Like I get goosebumps thinking about it. So for me, it was really 2007, right when I started experiencing games, that I was like, wow, but yep, I can't turn back. College football is now my number one favorite sport.
Yeah, and I remember that Texas game because I was definitely at that stadium for that game. Wasn't going to miss the opening of the bounce house.
Right.
And then I was so disappointed that Kevin Smith didn't break that record.
So close.
What, 50, 75 more yards or something like that against Georgia?
Yep, he needed about 50, 75 yards, and then but now I think it was Jonathan Taylor topped him over Wisconsin. But so I think Kevin Smith that was the third highest single season total. But yeah, he was close. There was I think it was, what is it? It kind of bottom up in that bowl game a little bit there. So, but it was still a great season.
That was a tough bowl game, and that was actually my first bowl game I went to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I went to the Liberty Bowl that year.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it was a lot of fun. So go ahead.
I'll say, yeah, my first bowl game was, I think it was 2009, the St. Pete Bowl versus Rutgers, and UCF got smacked in that game. So I think that was my first bowl game.
I was at that one too. That was a painful one.
Yeah, it sure was.
So over the years, what has been your favorite UCF football game?
Oh man, I would say it's easy for me. I mean, I have two. I think they're really just a tie for me. I mean, the UCF USF game in 2017 was just unbelievable. I mean, that Mike Hughes return was like one of the most electrifying sports moments I've ever felt. Like I can get goosebumps just hearing the crowd go from, there's that first wave when he beats out the first couple of people and the crowd gets loud. And then when he beats the final person, the crowd just takes a second. It's like a second octave, I guess would be the word. It was really cool. That one was awesome. And then I went to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, which was an amazing experience. I think those are probably my two favorite games, favorite UCF experiences for UCF football. I mean, I've been to a ton of games over the years, been to some good ones, but I don't think anything could top those two. And they happen to be in the same season.
Yeah, and especially even for that season, you could throw in the Memphis game.
Oh yeah,
played in the conference title game. That was.
I didn't go to that, unfortunately, but I watched it on TV, obviously, and that was amazing. But as far as like actual attendance, I think was those two.
Yeah, and I remember being at that USF game, and my buddy likes to egg me on, so he always talks about how USF's better, and he bet me $100 that UCF would lose to USF. And then he texted me when they did their go ahead. And then I text him back. I'm like, yeah, I think you're going to owe me money after the Mike Hughes touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. USF should not be bragging for anything when it comes to UCF. I think we've completely overtaken them and passed them. I mean, now they don't have anything. They don't have the better record than us anymore. That was what they held over us for a year. And, this year we're going to be probably, I would assume we'll win this year and have the overall head-to-head against them. So, yeah.
I'm definitely thinking so. So what are you most excited for with this upcoming season?
Oh, a lot. I mean, it's funny. I was talking about this on my page was, heading into this season, this felt like a year that was really kind of going to be this year of a little bit rocky. I mean, you just felt that this was make or break for Heupel. If he would have been the coach, it was like, the excitement was draining, was waning. Every year we're getting a worse record under him. He doesn't seem like he cared or whatever. I don't know. It was just a weird situation. Players, old Frost players didn't like him. The recruiting was so. I still had hope that, that we are going to put it together because there's still a lot of talent on the team, but it just felt like the brotherhood that Scott Frost had formed was just really gone. So I was looking at this year as probably like just really a make or break year. Like this was going to be like, this could probably be the last year of the Heupel era, but it's crazy how it went from this negativity town and all these people transferring and losing AD Danny White, which was devastating at the time because everyone loved him so much, to this massive turnaround where under Malzahn, it feels like the possibilities are endless. I mean, it just feels like this season is arguably the most excited I've ever been going into a season. I think after 2017, we went undefeated going into 2018. That was probably one of the most hyped seasons ever. But this one really feels like, just with Malzahn, all the transfers he's landed, all the excitement he's bringing, the 4 and 5-star guys, recruits that he's bringing on campus, the big time transfers he's landed, that this year is just full of, possibilities. What translate on the field, I don't know, but the hype in this preseason in these next 3 months is I think is palpable.
Yeah, and I mean, you're with him. Like I was, and I believe I saw you were probably the same way on this. I was a little bit skeptical of bringing Justin at first, but then it's like I see all the energy he's bringing, and it's like I just feel like it's going to be an amazing season, and I can't wait to get into the stadium.
Yeah, I mean that's the funny thing is, it's as fans we're so emotionally attached, and we can be very illogical at times. I remember like when they were just floating Malzahn's name out there, I was like, no, like we have to go Levy. Like the players want Levy. Like we got to go to this young up and coming guy. Like this older coach will just bring us down. And then what you fail to realize, and it hits you kind of, hindsight's 2020, is that Malzahn's like a top 10, top 15 coach in all of college football. We're getting essentially a legend that's not past his prime, seemingly. I mean, this guy was, balling out at Auburn year in, year out. Maybe for Auburn standards, there was a couple subpar years, but in general, like we're getting this guy with a true name recognition. Like we didn't realize like that, like when he came here, he brought a lot of just attention, media coverage, hype with him because he's such a well-known name. Like I don't think we appreciated that until now. It's like, oh crap, like people look at him and he commands a room, you know what I mean? Where as Levy, I think it would have brought some excitement, but he's never been a head coach before. So I think we got so used to this model of let's bring in this young up and coming guy like a Frost, like a Heupel, that we didn't realize, holy crap, we just got one of the best college football coaches in the game. So let's take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I also think it's interesting seeing how he's been, which I didn't see any of the other coaches do it, but he's been hitting that transfer portal heavy.
Hard. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I've never seen us get so many transfers, and not just that, quality transfers.
I agree 100%. That's the great thing about this transfer portal is it really, in my opinion, helps out group of 5 schools. I think there could be ways where it hurts group of 5s, where if a guy, attends a school like UCF and then he balls out and then 2 years in, he's like, I want to go to a bigger name school and start and get all that. So it could hurt, but in general, I think it's really going to help. What's going to happen, you're going to see guys like Jordan Johnson, perfect example, a local kid, went to Notre Dame, didn't cut it there, comes back a year later. Who cares if we get them right out of high school or a year later? We still have 4 years with them, maybe even 5, if for a red shirt. So, you know what I mean? So I think the transfer portal is an excellent way, and that's how Malzahn has been choosing to build. And I think that's excellent, but I am excited to see what he can also do from a high school perspective.
Yeah. Now, what's your perspective on how do you think this past NFL draft is going to help us in the future?
Oh, this was a banner year for UCF. I mean, that was the most draft picks we've ever had in a single year, and it was nice to finally get back into having multiple, because the last time that we had more than one pick in a year was 2000, the 2018 draft, when Akins and Smith and Shaquem all went. So it was nice because the last couple of years we just had Tristan Hill, then Gabe Davis. So it's nice to have 5 guys. And to be honest with you, I did not think that Trey Nixon was going to get drafted personally. I thought maybe 7th round, which he ended up doing. But I was surprised, and I still wasn't like, I know Jacob Harris made this name for himself in the combine or on UCF's pro day, but I really was like, he just wasn't like a big name in college football. You know what I mean? So, you knew Richie Grant, you knew Aaron Robinson were going to get drafted. But no, I really do think this shows that UCF, and before this year, UCF was constantly putting out pros. Every year we put out at least one guy. So there should be no hesitancy from high school prospects that UCF can't put out pros. I mean, in the group of 5, I think we're the number 3 right now for most guys in the NFL. And quite honestly, we have more NFL guys than a lot of bottom and middle tier Power 5 schools. I mean, we're never going to have more than the Bamas and Ohio States, but I mean, we have right now 23 guys in the pros, and it's not going to stop. So I think that only added to our credibility, and recruits are starting to see that, hey, we got big names, and not only that, they're getting big time contracts. Shaquille Griffin just landed a $40+ million deal. Guys like AJ Boye had that a couple of years ago. So I think it just added to our resume.
Yeah, and I mean, Gabe's been good up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He's out as like one of the big time receivers as a rookie.
Yeah.
And Trey Nixon, I think he's in a good situation with the Patriots. Even though I know, being that you work for Miami, I'm sure you're a Miami fan, so that's probably, don't want to talk Patriots too much. But I think he's in a good situation up there to where he can thrive.
I agree. I think if I were to say where, team I'd want Nixon to go to, it probably would be the Patriots, because right now they're kind of devoid of skill players over there. I mean, they have the tight ends. I know they signed a couple of big tight ends. I think Hunter Henry and a couple other guys, but they need some receivers. I don't know if that means Nixon's going to become their number 1 guy, but maybe he becomes a number 2 or a number 3. And I trust the Patriots to, they're kind of like UCF. They make more out of nothing. Not to say that Trey Nixon is nothing, just they make more out of the 7th round picks, the unheralded guys. They make careers out of them, whether it's Wes Walker or some of these guys. So I am happy that he's there. I hope he doesn't do good against the Dolphins, but no, I'm rooting for his success, and I think that's a good situation for him.
Yeah, definitely. So before we finish today, is there anything you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. If you want to follow my account, UCF Football Updates, I'm exclusively on Instagram right now. It's UCF.football.updates. I usually post almost daily. So if you're a big UCF fan, come and chat with me. I answer all my messages and everything. I do have a YouTube channel, which I'm not really using that much, but I did recently do an interview with Kyle Israel and put it on there. Other than that, if you're looking for any digital marketing help, feel free to contact me or visit Smarty Pants with a Z, smartypantsmarketing.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate everyone tuning in for episode 2. And I'll see you guys next week on episode 3.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Not a